Have you ever noticed how you can read a book, watch a lesson, even take notes, yet still feel like nothing has truly sunk in? That's because your brain doesn't master a skill by taking it in passively. It wakes up when you act. It's like trying to learn swimming by only watching from the shore. You don't stay afloat until you step into the water yourself. In this video, you'll see practical, research-backed ways to turn study into lived skill through action-first learning, teaching, spaced review, and multi-sensory practice. Stay open to hearing these messages and be ready to try one small step yourself. Because the real question is not how much you know, it's why some moments shape you forever while others slip away without a trace. The real trap is this: collecting knowledge without ever moving it into action. It feels safe, even productive, but it leaves you unchanged. You can gather endless insights, highlight the best lines, and nod along to every clever idea, yet without stepping forward, the wisdom never roots itself in you. That gap between what you consume and what you live through is where so many get stuck. We live in a flood of information now. Books, lessons, posts, and videos stream at us without pause. They give the sense of progress, as if turning another page or finishing another clip is the same as growth. But here's the catch: nothing truly transforms until you take it beyond theory. Without movement, knowledge is like weight carried but never lifted. You feel heavier, but not stronger. Think of it with something familiar, like learning to swim. You can read the manual, picture each stroke in your head, and recite the rules of floating. But the moment you actually step into the water, your body wakes up. Muscles tense, balance shifts, and every mistake becomes a lesson written into memory. The pool becomes your teacher in ways no page ever could. This is how your brain works. When you practice, even clumsily, your brain often forms stronger connections than passive study alone. That is why dribbling a basketball, even if it bounces out of control, improves you more than watching someone else score. That is why speaking a new language, even while stumbling, rewires you faster than silent memorization. Cooking a meal, even when you burn it, teaches more than reading another page of recipes. Action lays real pathways. Your mind can only hold shadows when you stand on the sidelines, but when you try, the lessons carve themselves deep. And yet, many people fear mistakes. They treat each error as proof they are not ready. But notice, your brain often learns faster when it fails and corrects. Each misstep pushes you to adjust, to rebuild, to improve. Far from blocking growth, mistakes are signs that you are in the very process of shaping it. They are not punishments. They are markers that you are alive inside the lesson. This is why real progress feels different. Reading can sketch faint outlines, but doing etches them in stone. That's also why your memories of active moments, of trying, faltering, and feeling stick with you far longer than the neat summaries you once copied down. The universe seems to have designed it this way. Stumble forward, and you accelerate. So here's a small challenge for you. Within the next 24 hours, take one skill you have been circling but not living. Spend 5 minutes practicing it, even in an imperfect way. If you are learning to draw, put pencil to paper. If you want to speak a language, say a few lines out loud. If you are drawn to cook, chop some vegetables and begin. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Step into the water and notice what changes. The act itself is the teacher. As you see, this hidden trap of knowing without doing is what keeps so many dreams suspended in thought only. Once you accept that mistakes guide you, that practice awakens you, you begin to unlock a new level of learning. Soon, you'll discover another doorway, a way of strengthening memory not by doing alone, but by sharing what you've tried to explain. Have you noticed that in the moment you try to explain an idea to another person, the fog lifts and you discover what you truly know and what was only borrowed? You may finish a chapter and feel sure of it, but when you open your mouth, certain parts suddenly vanish. That's not failure. It's a sign that teaching is the very act that exposes your edges, showing you where the ground is steady and where it still needs building. Teaching brings a kind of clarity that silent study alone rarely touches. It forces you to arrange your thoughts, to choose words with weight, to make meaning that holds. Each time you explain, you aren't just reciting, you are rebuilding pathways in your brain. Researchers often call this the protege effect. Teaching a concept strengthens recall more than rereading notes ever could. Explaining becomes its own form of practice, one that etches the lesson deeper. And yet, many people wait. They imagine they must be perfect before they can share. But here's the truth. You do not wait to master before teaching. You teach, and mastery grows in the process. Sharing doesn't expose weakness, it speeds wisdom. If the thought of teaching feels beyond reach, let this simple exercise be your starting point. Pick one small idea and speak it aloud for 2 minutes. You can tell it to a friend, teach it to the empty room, or even explain it to yourself in the mirror. By putting sound to thought, you test the strength of your understanding and invite the brain to sharpen. Think of your knowledge as a garden path. From the distance, it looks neat, but when you walk through, you find weeds hiding stones, blocking your steps. Those weeds are the missed details and half-formed ideas you cannot see until you try to teach. But the moment you pick up the shears, when you explain out loud, the weeds show themselves and you clear them. One by one, the path grows open and strong. Teaching is not limited by audience. You can whisper to yourself, record a short voice note, or guide an unseen listener in your imagination. All of these forms demand that you retrieve information, order it, and hold it steady. And in calling the lesson back, you strengthen the very roots of memory. Language learners, for instance, often notice this power. Reading a new word 10 times may not seal it in place, but teaching that word, speaking its sound, giving its meaning, showing it in a sentence, locks it in their mind far longer. Now, teaching is only half the secret doorway. The other half reveals itself through the questions you ask. Questions act like lanterns in an unlit cave. They do not light the whole space, but they guide the next step forward. Asking why, how, or what if transforms knowledge from surface facts into deeper understanding. The more you question, the more alive the subject becomes. Each question tilts your mind forward, pulling you past memorization toward clarity that feels earned. This is where learning shifts from duty to discovery. When you ask bold questions and answer out loud, even alone, you create sparks. You confirm what is accurate, you notice where you stumble, and you anchor the material by wrestling with it directly. Teaching and questioning together transform knowledge from something stored to something lived. But memory is not permanent by itself. Even what you teach, even what you ask, can fade if your brain decides it has no reason to hold on. To keep wisdom alive, you must train the mind to grip it in ways that last, so the lessons don't drift away like passing shadows. Why does a lesson you studied late into the night slip away so fast, while a simple song from childhood still echoes clearly in your mind? The difference is not about effort, but about rhythm. Memory does not keep everything evenly. It fades quickly unless reminded at the right times. Scientists call this the forgetting curve. Right after you learn, memory drops steeply. But you can interrupt that fall with spacing. The fix is simple. Revisit the material one day later, again around day 3, then once more at day 7. That rhythm, day 1, day 3, day 7, teaches the brain this matters, hold on to it. Think of it like tides pressing lines into the sand. One wave washes across the beach and the marks fade. But when the waves keep returning at steady intervals, the grooves deepen until they remain. Spaced practice works in the same way. Each review engraves the material a little deeper, letting it settle into long-term memory without endless cramming. Now comes the second key: multi-sensory learning. Your brain builds stronger connections when several senses fire together. Reading silently leaves only a light trace, but when you see, say, and write the lesson, the trace thickens into a rope of memory. Alone, one strand may break. Together, the strands hold fast. Try this quick experiment right now. Choose one word from another language or one concept you want to remember. Step 1. Look at it. Step 2. Say it out loud so your ears hear it. Step 3. Write it down by hand, feeling each shape come through your pen. That simple see, say, write method may just take seconds, but it goes further than silent study. Notice afterward how much more natural it feels to recall. When you combine spacing and multiple senses, recall grows steady instead of fragile. For example, if you want to store new vocabulary, follow the 1-3-7 rhythm, and each time you revisit, use the see, say, write practice. The repeated touch points tell your brain the word is alive, while the layered senses weave it into your body. The shift can be dramatic. You will find yourself remembering with ease what once slipped away almost instantly. Summarizing in your own words is another simple way to multiply senses and anchor new lessons. Instead of rereading a page, close the book and speak what you recall. Or jot a quick outline blind, without notes. The act of pulling ideas out of your mind is what rewires the memory. It's like the difference between glancing again at a recipe card and actually making the dish. When you slice, stir, and taste, the recipe never leaves you. Learning works the same way when you do more than just look. There is also a spiritual resonance in this. When you let your eyes see, your voice ring, and your hands move, you invite your whole being into the moment of learning. You are not only a receiver, you are a vessel expressing what you've taken in, and the universe seems to whisper louder when more of your being is awake. So, with rhythm and with many senses joined, learning shifts. No longer smoke that slips away, it steadies into a shape the mind can trust. But remembering is only one part of the journey. The path is sustained by joy, by finding ways to make practice feel lighter, more like a game than a burden. And that shift is what you'll explore next. What keeps motivation alive is not just discipline, but the way you frame the journey. Turning study into play and focusing on the small parts that matter most can change everything. When you treat practice like a game instead of a chore, your brain responds differently. Each small win sparks dopamine, the chemical that signals energy and focus. That's why games hold your attention for hours. They break the path into steps that feel good to finish. Learning can be the same if you build in those markers. Instead of forcing yourself through endless material, set micro goals. Create 3 milestones in each session. For example, read 3 pages, pause, finish 1 video, pause, Complete one practice round. Pause. Each time, give yourself a quick acknowledgement or a small reward. These markers prove to your brain that progress is happening and that recognition keeps you moving forward. Here is a practical exercise you can try today. Set a 20-minute timer, learn 10 new words, or do 10 practice reps. When you finish, reward yourself with something simple, a stretch, a short break, even a check mark on your list. You'll notice the task feels lighter, and yet the sense of progress is stronger. That's the power of weaving play into learning. This structure naturally keeps you in what researchers call flow. You're not overmatched, but you're not idle either. Each challenge is just beyond comfort, close enough to reach with effort. That rhythm makes time slip by because your mind is fully engaged, just as it is when you climb levels in a game. But motivation also depends on focusing your energy wisely. Not every detail carries equal weight. The 80-20 principle, often called the Pareto rule, shows that most results come from a small fraction of input. For learning, this means you don't need to master everything before seeing growth. You need to spot the critical 20% that gives you most of the gain. Here's how to apply it quickly. If you're learning a language, start with the small set of words that cover most daily conversations. That handful gives you the ability to connect right away. If you're learning guitar, focus on the few essential chords that make up the majority of songs. Once you hold those, hundreds of melodies open to you. In each case, concentrating on the vital few gives you practical success early, and those successes fuel your will to keep going. This focus prevents overwhelm. Instead of scattering energy across everything, you anchor it in what delivers results fastest. That creates momentum, which carries you to the next stage when deeper study becomes easier. With each step, you see, hear, and feel mastery gathering. And that sense of movement is exactly what your spirit needs to stay invested. When you join gamification with the 80-20 lens, you blend two guiding forces, playfulness and focus. Practice ceases to feel like pushing a boulder uphill. It feels structured, light, and efficient, as if each moment of effort is multiplied. Your sessions no longer run on willpower alone. They run on energy renewed by progress itself. So here is your challenge. In your next session, set 3 micro milestones, reward each one, and choose the 20% that matters most. Try the 20-minute game of 10. 10 words, 10 chords, or 10 practice reps, and notice the lift it gives you. These small steps become signs of true progress. Because learning at its deepest is not the pile of facts you carry, but how you live what you know step by step. And this is where everything comes together, the heart of the lesson. True learning is not in gathering more, but in acting on what you already carry. You grow by doing, by sharing, by revisiting in rhythm, and by letting joy guide your practice. Knowledge only transforms into wisdom once it finds its place in motion. So don't wait. Choose one small action within the next hour, speak a sentence in a new language, strum one chord, or practice one movement. Notice how progress follows when you move. Like, subscribe, and comment the one tiny action you'll try today. Keep going.